In 1956, the Reverend Johnny Coleman's dream was to share the good news as taught by Jesus the Christ. That was that there's only one power and one presence in the universe, the everywhere evenly present absolute good that we call God. That all people, regardless of race, creed, color, or religious belief, are made in the image of God and therefore divine. The news that thinking is the connecting link to divine mind, and in her words, we are the thinkers that think the thoughts that make the things. The good news that we must practice the presence of God in all we think, say, and do, allowing God to express through us as us, and that there is a universal law of mind action, that like begets like, that what we think about, we bring about. These principles have been the embodiment of the ministry of this church and the mission of this church, to teach all who are willing to learn how to live a better life. This is the legacy that has been entrusted to the senior minister of Christ Universal Temple to carry forth with dedication, dignity, and integrity. Reverend Wells, will you please come forward? As duly elected senior minister and spiritual leader of Christ Universal Temple, you are charged with the responsibility to all who come to this church. Therefore, we ask, Reverend Wells, in the spirit of Jesus the Christ and our founder, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, do you dedicate and consecrate yourself with all your gifts and talents to faithful adherence to the principles of truth as espoused by this ministry? Please respond, I do.
I do.
Do you vow to provide leadership in the preparation and presentation and adherence to principles of all programs and worship services, to the principles as espoused by this church?
I do.
Do you commit yourself to serve as Chief Executive Officer of this corporation in accordance with established bylaws and in concert with the Board of Directors duly elected by the members of this church?
I do.
Do you consecrate yourself to promoting the welfare and growth of this church and always to look to the Christ within you for wisdom, guidance, and inspiration?
I do.
Do you consecrate yourself to minister faithfully and lovingly to all people now committed to your charge, and to ever seek to be the example of moderation, patience, dignity, and integrity?
I do.
Reverend Wells, by the authority vested in me by the Holy Spirit, and the Board of Directors and members of Christ Universal Temple, I hereby install you as senior minister of this church on this 7th day of April in the year of the Common Era, 2011, and I pass to you the mantle and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman for carrying forth in the name, in faith, and in the name and nature and consciousness of Jesus the Christ.
I do. Even if that's not a question.
Ladies and gentlemen, won't you receive the senior minister of Christ University?